There's a big difference between spiritual discernment and paranoia. And if you don't know the difference, you could end up calling fear wisdom. Let's clear that up. Hey guys, it's Alaija, aka the Kingdom Babe, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to talk about discernment. This is such a huge topic in the Christian walk with God, because if you don't have discernment, you could be tricked like that, and it's scary. Okay, we're definitely going to get into some important things today that I want to touch on. Again, I'm just speaking from what God has given to me and my own experiences. I just want to get right to the point. Okay, so let's start off with point number one. We're going to do a discernment versus paranoia. Okay, starting with discernment. Discernment will literally steady you. So if you're feeling a little wobbly and unstable, it becomes that solid rock and foundation that you can stand on. Okay, discernment observes, it notes patterns, it waits, and it seeks clarity. On the other hand, paranoia is very chaotic, and it's usually rooted and founded in fear. Paranoia assumes, it jumps to conclusions, and reacts immediately, mostly without thinking or seeking clarity. And just a heads up, if something makes you anxious, question it. If something makes you fearful, call it out, because God didn't give us either of these spirits. Point number two, discernment is fruit-based. Okay, now I'm not talking about apples and bananas and stuff like that. That's not what I'm talking about. Okay, what I mean by that is spiritual fruit, and often the truths that we find in the Holy Word. But speaking of fruit, what are the characteristics of an apple? When you look at the characteristics of an apple, you can say most of the time they're red, they're firm, they're round, and they grow on trees. Okay, so once those things are checked off, you can usually say, hey, I think this is an apple. When you see grapes, you can ask, well, what color are they? Where do they grow? What does it taste like? When I'm around it, does it have a certain smell? These are the ways that you can break down and figure out something without spiraling out of control. Paranoia usually creates images and illusions in your mind that most of the times aren't actually real. It's just your mind playing tricks on you based off of something you thought and is now being projected into your mind. Paranoia can create these illusions that make it hard for you to move forward, and oftentimes paralyzes you where you are. You can't think clearly when you're paranoid. In fact, when you're paranoid, you don't even act like yourself. A lot of times when we're paranoid, we find ourselves speaking out of term, or saying things in a way that is erratic, or saying things that don't make sense because we are so fearful. Most times we come out of our own character when we're paranoid. And again, the foundation of paranoia is usually fear. Paranoia imagines things, while discernment usually evaluates things. There's more of a steady confidence with discernment, even when you don't know what you're doing yet. With paranoia, you're usually very unstable and unable to think clearly. And my last and final point I want to make is that discernment usually seeks God before reacting. If you are truly discerning, you will usually pray to God before you confront or before you question certain things. I mean, why not? God's an all-knowing God. God's an all-seeing God, and he can be anywhere at any time. So why would we avoid talking to him? Why would we be paranoid instead of, confident in this? That's just the devil trying to get into your mind, honestly, if we're going to be completely and 100% honest. But that's the point of paranoia. That's how the devil operates. And discernment is how God operates. Also, too, you can add this onto that. But discernment doesn't move until the clarification comes from God. That pause, that moment to yourself where you're asking God, hey, is this you? That's maturity, okay? When we don't use our discernment to seek God out and ask him before we do something that could possibly lead us into a dangerous place. Now, this is the end of the video, but just an additional note that I want to make. A lot of people will judge you for using your discernment. I'm just going to be clear and honest with you. A lot of people will not like that you pause before you do, because a lot of people do not do that. A lot of people are not spiritually mature. They're not spiritually, intact with God. They don't have a relationship with God. So when they do things, they usually find themselves in these problems or scenarios to where you're probably thinking how did you get yourself into this situation? What were you thinking? And a lot of times they weren't thinking, they weren't discerning, they weren't doing what they were supposed to do before they got themselves into the situation. If they were using their discernment properly, if they were actually seeking God for clarity, they probably wouldn't have run into this situation. I beg of you, do not let the world turn you into a paranoid fool. So please, Be a discerning person. Always seek God out for clarity. Always discern each situation you go into, especially the ones that don't sit right in your spirit. Those are the best ones that you need to be using your discernment for. The ones where your spirit doesn't feel right and you're trying to figure out what's going on. Yeah, don't Google it. Pray about it. I mean, you can pray about it and then Google it maybe, but definitely ask God first, because a lot of times this is not something that people do. A lot of people just move blindly and they do things without using the discernment, and they get themselves into situations, and then they get frustrated being around people who actually practice discernment and save themselves at least half of the pain and hurt that they conflicted on themselves for moving too fast or for moving without clarity. So that's just another thing that I want to close out the video with, because like I said, discernment is such a huge and broad topic that isn't really touched on a lot. Well, not that I hear it's touched on a lot. Like I said, in social media, there's a specific vision of Christianity, and it's not really what we need to conquer our day-to-day challenges. It's not really what we need to deal with our demons. It's not really what we need to grow closer to God. So with that being said, guys, that is the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. Leave your comments down below. Like this video, share this video with somebody else, and subscribe for future videos as we are learning how to move forward with Christ together. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and until next time,